Hey guys, welcome to today's video. So, wow, there's a loud beep. I'm recording on cameraman's phone. Oh, let me turn my little light on. There we go. Let me turn it down. It's pretty bright. Okay, as I'm using cameraman's phone, and when I hit the record button, it went beep, like really loud. And now Lincoln's gone. Lincoln's not a fan of any beeping noises at all, so he's terrified of them. Okay, hello, I'm Sarah. This is No BS Beauty. So today I've got a totally different type of video. Actually, I spent a lot of time driving yesterday. I went to visit one of my friends who lives about an hour and a half away from here. So I had about 3 hours of drive time, a little bit longer than that. And I was just thinking about all this and I thought, you know what, I should just make this a video because, it's kind of interesting. So these are 4 events that happened that changed the way I view skincare almost entirely. And these are 4 events that happened to occur since I've been recording or doing my YouTube channel. So I'll just start out with number 1. These are just events that have happened that totally changed the way I view things in relation to skincare, beauty, all of that stuff. The first one, and I'm curious what you're going to think. So leave your comments below. I'm sure there's some things that have occurred or events that have changed the way you view products or skincare or anything like that. So leave your thoughts below. I'll probably write something up about the newsletter. So if you have some interesting thoughts, I'll put them in there too, and sign up for a newsletter if you haven't already. Okay, first one was the Purito SPF sunscreen scandal, which started with the Purito sunscreen and ended with dozens of sunscreens being shown to show that their SPF 50 that they have listed wasn't really SPF 50 in various examples. I mean, there was Purito, there's Klairs, there's Keep Cool. There was dozens and dozens and dozens of them. Different brands that were selling sunscreens. These all happened to, most of them for Korea, from Korean sunscreens, because there's a little bit of a loophole in their law how sunscreens were regulated. So a lot of sunscreens that were being marketed and sold as being SPF 50, which is great coverage. You want to do 30 and above every day. 50 is excellent. I'm using SPF 50 every day. I should be looking great. My skin shouldn't be freckling or tanning or getting hyperpigmentation. And some people started to notice this. And finally, a company went on to test them, start with Purito, and found out, well, it said it was SPF 50. It was closer between 17 and 19. So if you're using between 17 and 19 every day, that's below what you want to use, especially during the summer, especially for fair skin, especially for people on certain medications and things like that. So this totally changed the way I view sunscreen as a whole. And coming out of this, there's a lot of other sunscreens, not just from Korea, that have had issues. And honestly, manufacturing sunscreen, it is very complicated. Most brands cannot just go and manufacture their own. They negotiate and work with a company, a third party that makes the sunscreen, formulates it for them, and then they sell it with their brand. So there were some loopholes with that. But I mean, it's been shown that a lot of sunscreen of what we use really isn't what we think it is, especially certain chemical sunscreens in the US. They may be good at preventing burns, but in terms of anti-aging UVA rays, they're not that great. My esthetician is not a big fan of chemical sunscreens, and I have to wonder, if she'd experienced some great Japanese sunscreens or some European chemical sunscreens, would she have the same opinion? I don't know. It makes me a little, like chemical sunscreens, you know what I mean? Typically chemical sunscreens, if they're formulated properly, they're going to be great. So one of these that I've ended up loving is this La Roche-Posay UV Mune 400, which is great. I've never got any freckling, tanning, any melasma worsening using this one, and it's been great. So that scandal really, really impacted the way I viewed formulas and things like that. It's not just as easy as mixing some things together, throwing it in a bottle and selling it. It's not. Testing needs to be involved. Regulations need to be involved. And I think the sunscreen community and people that use sunscreen have been benefited by this today after everything that happened, because brands are not as likely to mess around with it as they were before, or think, what, nobody's going to test this, wink, wink, feels like a lotion. And even, when I reviewed that Purito Centella unscented sunscreen, I thought, how it has 2 filters in it. They're both around 2%. And I questioned myself, I'm like, how can this be good sunscreen? And I was swayed by people that I thought were more intelligent about formulation Then myself, I was swayed to think I was wrong, and my gut feeling was right. I mean, how can it has 2 little filters and not a very big amount. How can this be better than some of these sunscreens that have 6 filters in them, or 5 filters and really new great filters? So don't ever trust anybody implicitly ever again, because there are a few people I really looked up to that I thought really knew what they were doing, and they were highly recommending these sunscreens. I wish I would have pushed back more and went with my gut feeling. But anyway, that totally changed the way not only I view skincare, but influencers and anybody, formulators, all that stuff. It really changed the way I view all of that. The second big event that changed the way I view a lot of things was the Herbivore Bakuchiol scandal. This company went in and tested, I think it was 10 different serums that contained bakuchiol, phytoretinol, and the most expensive one in the list didn't have any in its serum at all. And the name of it was bakuchiol serum, and it didn't have any bakuchiol in it. What? Like, how can this be? You know what? It's because a lot of these products, they're really not, sunscreens are regulated. All these other products, they're not regulated. I could pick up anything, and I mean, who knows? Maybe this doesn't have any retinoids in it. You know what I mean? You're basing things on trust, and that really sealed the deal for me on Herbivore. And I love that after that came out, they didn't really do anything. They doubled down and made a mini bakuchiol serum, which also didn't contain any bakuchiol in it. I will never buy anything from this brand ever again. I have zero trust in them. What they did was shady, sketchy, and I don't know, maybe it'll be a class action lawsuit. I don't know. There should be one because, I mean, I think that serum was just under $60, and really it just was purple water. And I think now they've changed some things they do, but I certainly won't buy now they're making a sunscreen. There's no way in hell I would put a sunscreen from that brand on my face, because not only do I not trust their bakuchiol serum, I'm iffy about SPF to begin with. So now I don't trust any of it. So that's another one. Two more. The next one that was huge for me was the benzene in sunscreen. Oh, that rhymes. The benzene in the sunscreen. No benzene in the sunscreen. Anyway, because these were a ton of sunscreens, and most of them ended up being aerosol sunscreens. Most of them were by brands owned by Johnson & Johnson, but not to the exclusion of Johnson & Johnson. But benzene is a carcinogen. There's a very low acceptable amount that you can be exposed to on a daily basis in gasoline and things like that. You don't want to be putting that on your face, around your eyes, near your mouth, on your lips, nothing. And this contaminant snuck its way into so many. I remember going to the store shelf at Walgreens after this happened, and the store shelves just being empty of sunscreen because there isn't really much left after everything that was basically aerosol was found to have benzene in it. I assumed wrongly that brands were doing, especially big brands like Johnson & Johnson, I assumed and trusted they were doing quality control, and apparently they really hadn't been doing much quality control, or as good of quality control as we thought. Benzene now has been found to be in other products too. There's, again, you don't want any exposure to it, as little as you can. And now, I've got so many friends that have had cancer, and young people getting cancer. There's a city in Minnesota that 3M dumped all their chemicals in the ground, and all these kids at this high school, middle school, were all getting like brain cancer and stomach cancer, and 3M was polluting it for decades. So you don't want carcinogens at all. And now, especially seeing all these young people with skin cancer and things like that. So that was a big shocker to me, because I just assumed, again, there would not be any carcinogens. And I have a feeling the people that hate chemical sunscreens were having a field day these last few years. Not only did I say that chemical sunscreens were carcinogens, now they've got benzene in there. And then we've got sunscreens that don't even have any SPF in them. So, yeah. And then last but not least, this is kind of a newer one, but it has led me to reevaluate some things. The Paula's Choice cruelty-free scandal. So there's a class action lawsuit that goes back to 2009 from when Paula from Paula's Choice still owned her company, that they were selling products in China that didn't get through the loophole, and they were going to be tested on animals. So up to recently, most brands, if they are cruelty-free, they buy from cruelty-free manufacturers, and they don't sell in China or other countries that mandate animal testing, they can be called cruelty-free. However, there are some loopholes. First Aid Beauty was in the loophole for a while. Then it was changed to, it's only if it's in brick and mortar stores. If it's just online, it won't be tested on animals. And now it seems like none of that might be true at all. I'm not even sure, and I guess we'll find out more because this story broke in May of this year, so it's still really new. There's still not a lot of facts out there about it. But perhaps we've been buying Paula's Choice thinking they're cruelty-free for all these years, and perhaps they might not. Or before there's a loophole, if you sold in Hong Kong, you're okay, but not in mainland China. Or mainland China online, but not in brick and mortar stores. It's very complicated. And even brands that had the Leaping Bunny symbol on it, perhaps. Now I'm finding that was on all of Paula's Choice products. So if that lawsuit goes through and people win, what does a Leaping Bunny seal mean? What does the PETA approval mean? Does it mean anything? Does it mean they paid a fee to potentially get inspected and then nothing ever happened by it and the companies just took all the money? I have no idea. I don't know, but it does make me suspect about a lot of these other brands. So you know what? I've learned to not trust anything, really. Don't trust anything. Don't trust people. Do it yourself. Learn yourself. Do your own digging and come to your own conclusion. Don't trust anybody because you know what? Everybody somehow secretly has a hidden agenda that they might not even know about. Even me.
They just want your money.
And they just want your money. You know what I mean? So do your research. Trust but verify. Do some digging on it. Come to your own conclusion. And trust your gut. That's the bigger thing I learned with all this. Was to trust your gut. So anyway, that's what I got for today. Curious what your thoughts are, if you have any similar, there's a lot of other things that have shaken my trust, but these are kind of the four at the top of my brain for today. So leave a comment with your thoughts, what broke your trust, leave them below, and thanks. I'll see you guys more tomorrow. Okay, bye guys.